Hi, Mike here. You're watching Yukon Scout Restoration. In this video, I will remove, tear down, and inspect the front axle for my 1966 International Scout 800. This is not a how-to video. It's a how I do video. I hope you like it. Let's get to work. If you want to help, please subscribe to Yukon Scout Restoration. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.
It's time to pull the front axle out of the Scout. Let's get to work. Removing the front shackle bolt. I'm taking the weight off so I can knock the bolts out. There's 2 bolts on each side at the front and 1 bolt on each side at the back. And there's no shackle at the back, just a bracket. I previously removed the shocks and disconnected the steering and brake lines. Now that the axle is free, I can put my jack stands in. I am placing 2 jack stands below the front cab mount, then 2 more just ahead of the rear spring hanger, and then 2 more under the rear axle. Then I rolled the front axle out. The Scout is supported on my air bumper jack, which has a lock on it, and 6 jack stands. So I think it's very safe to go under there. Got lots of support. The axle's out of the Scout, and I flipped it over so that I can easily undo the U-bolts and remove the springs. After removing the springs, I will remove the wheels and put the axle on the workbench. These are 15-inch rims and tires. The line setting ticket says that the Scout originally came with 16-inch wheels. I managed to find 5 16-inch Kelsey Hayes original wheels for this Scout. I've marked the springs left and right, and I am keeping everything on its appropriate side of the Scout. This overhead electric hoist is an invaluable tool. I'm removing the steering damper. Removing the cotter pins from the tie rod end. I have quite a few different tools for removing tie rods. This is one of my favorites. It's especially useful in tight spots. These closed knuckles are supposed to be filled with oil. However, they're notorious for leaking. This side has only a little bit of water. No oil or water, but someone may have pumped this side full of grease.
These are the hubs that came with the Scout. They're not the hubs that were on the line set ticket. These are Selectro hubs. The line set ticket says worn hubs. So we'll have a look at these hubs, see what kind of shape they're in. These Selectro hubs have 6 screws. Do not remove the outer ring of screws, the outer 3 screws. Remove the inner 3 screws to remove the hub. So what I see is there's pieces broken out of here, out of this ring. See here, this piece here is broken, right? And this other piece here is broken right out. So they're damaged. And anyway, they're not the original hubs. I will find the original hubs.
I'm removing the snap ring from the axle. Removing the O-ring from the base. I'm bending back the lock tabs on the bolt. Six 3/8 bolts hold the hub base to the wheel hub. Different types of hubs will have different lengths of bolts. These jam nuts are loose, and the lock ring has been installed incorrectly. The inside nut is also loose. They probably didn't have the right socket. You need a 2-inch thin wall deep socket. The brake drum is coming off really easy. This is a good sign. The drum doesn't appear to have a lot of wear. Later on, I will measure it. The outer wheel bearing is dry, rusty, and badly pitted.
Toast.
The inner bearing and both races are also badly worn and pitted. Toast. Toast. Toast.
To remove the backing plate, I must remove the 6 spindle bolts. One kingpin bolt secures the brake hole. I can now remove the spindle.
This is supposed to be filled with oil. Obviously it was leaking, so they've pumped it full of grease.
Removing the knuckle seal retainer. Carefully removing the felt. I'm breaking loose the kingpin bolts. Removing the upper kingpin with shims. This is the steering knuckle seal. I will call this the backup ring. This is a solid bronze cone. The bottom uses a roller bearing. Now I'm on the other side. This is the right-hand axle assembly. It's the short side. So far, this cone looks pretty good. Removing the right-hand lower kingpin. It's extremely important to keep track of where everything goes. Everything from the left-hand side stays on the left-hand side. Everything from the right-hand side stays on the right-hand side. Upper and lower parts must go back in the same location that they came from. I must spread the seal to remove it from the axle tube. I'm removing the cover to access the differential carrier.
I removed the crown and pinion, took the housing outside, blasted everything off with Varsol, and now, because the gears and bearings are in such excellent condition, they've obviously been replaced. I've temporarily reinstalled them in the housing to measure the backlash. Let's get to work.
10,
The backlash
0,
is 10 thou.
0.
The spec for the backlash is 6 to 10 thou. These gears are like new. And it's the front axle. Think 10 thou backlash for the crown and pinion is just fine. Note that bearing cap orientation has previously been marked. Obviously, the crown and pinion have been replaced. More proof that someone has put money into this Scout and that the work has been done professionally. Because of the specified bearing preload, the differential carrier
is a very tight fit. I will reuse these bearings because they are in excellent condition. The date 5/24/68 confirms that the gear set has been replaced. 47 teeth on the ring gear and 11 teeth on the pinion equals a 4:27 gear ratio, which is the same ratio as the rear axle and the same ratio as the line setting ticket. So all is good. The pinion bearing preload feels like it's bang on. I'm removing the nut, the washer, and the yoke. This is a plastic dead blow hammer. Note that this pinion has an oil slinger and that the teeth are in remarkably good condition. I will take a closer look at all these parts after cleaning them with Varsol and compressed air. This is a modern neoprene pinion seal. The original seal would have been leather. Be sure to find all the pinion shims and remember their exact location. These are the original leather inside axle seals. Behind the inner axle seal, there's an insert. One purpose of this insert is to help guide the axle through the seal without damaging the seal. Another purpose is to prevent contaminants from entering the gear casing through the axle tube because there are no outer axle seals on these axles. It's important to clean the vent on any gearbox. Anything that transmits power generates heat. If thermal expansion causes the pressure inside the gearbox to become higher than the atmospheric pressure outside, it will push the oil past the seals and out of the gearbox, making a big mess and covering your brake linings with gear oil. Cleaning vents is a very important and often neglected part of servicing all vehicles and equipment. I just noticed a nasty nick in the ball here, so I'm going to file it out. That's better. We don't want any sharp edges damaging our new seal.
In conclusion, I'm lucky to have a good gear set. In my next video, Front Axle 2, I will clean everything up and carefully inspect the housing, axles, gears, bearings, and everything else, so that I can create a comprehensive parts list. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Yukon Scout Restoration. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.